Ohio. Guinea-Bissau, the state in the Western Africa, the former Portuguese colony, the independent state since September 24, 1973. Except the mainland, the island of Boloma and the archipelago of Bishagosh includes. Borders on Senegal in the north and Guinea in the southeast. During the colonial period, the country was a part of the Portuguese Guinea. After declaration of independence in 1973, the country began to be called Guinea-Bissau. Its toponym consists of components Guinea, the name of the geographical area where the country is located, and, for a difference from the neighboring state of the same name, Bissau, the name of own capital. The territory of present Guinea-Bissau was inhabited by tribes of Negroid race. In the Middle Ages they mastered agriculture, grew up a millet and bean. Lived a primitive communal system, passing to slaveholding. In 1446 the Portuguese expedition led by Nuno Tristan which landed on the coast of Africa called the Newfound Earth Guinea. Nuno Tristan and a part of Dix of this expedition were killed by locals. Within the next 20 years Portuguese didn't land on the coast. In 1466 the King of Portugal granted the citizens mastering the Cape Verde Islands located nearby, nowadays the state of Cape Verde, the right for development of Guinea. Portuguese from the Cape Verde Islands began to develop actively the territory of Guinea in 1471, 1475 and to build there the strengthened trading stations for defense against natives. Later the French, English and Dutch corsairs founded the bases on this coast. By the 17th century on the coast of Guinea there were several settlements of Europeans. Faran, Cashew, Bissau in which Europeans carried out purchases of slaves from local breeding leaders in exchange for metal products. Household utensils, tools, jewelry were the most considerable of them. The bought slaves were sent to sugar and tobacco plantations of Brazil. Despite the adjusted trade, natives repeatedly made attempts to occupy settlements of Europeans to take control of their property. So, only within the 1840th years natives tried to occupy the largest base of Portuguese 3 times, Bissau, and the natives converted to Christianity. Participated in it even. The territory of Guinea was operated by the governor of the Cape Verde Islands. In 1879 Guinea was transformed to a separate colony, the Portuguese Guinea. Under French-Portuguese contract of 1886 the considerable part of the territory departed to France. Modern Guinea. Since the beginning of the 20th century the Portuguese colonialists began to create in the territory of present Guinea-Bissau the cities Bizaran, Mansab, Fulicund, etc. The Portuguese trading companies bought from natives agricultural products, generally peanut, fruits of palm trees, in exchange selling industrial output. In 1951 the colonial status was cancelled, the territory became the overseas province of Portugal. A part of natives acquired the rights of citizens of the mother country, able to write in Portuguese, professing Catholicism and wearing the European clothes. Since the beginning of the 1968 years in the Portuguese Guinea, as well as in two other large Portuguese overseas provinces in Africa, Angola and Mozambique. Insurgent war against Portugal under the direction of the Pague Marxist Party, to ideologically close Mpli and Frelimo was developed. The military operations begun by order of Pague in January 1963 proceeded in general with advantage of insurgents. Then changed the situation even murder of the leader of Pague Amilcar Cabral on January 20, 1973. On September 24, 1973 in the territory which was under control of Pague by then making from 50 to 70% of the territory of the overseas province in the cleared region Medina Dubu, the National People's Assembly of Guinea-Bissau proclaimed the Independent Republic of Guinea-Bissau. Luis Cabral was elected the chairman of the State Council, the chairman of the Board of the State Commissioners. Prime Minister to Francisco Mendes. After in Portugal in April 1974 there was revolution, the new government of the Republic recognized on September 10, 1974 independence of Guinea-Bissau. After binding by the country of independence and her the one-party political and command and planned economic system uniform with the Republic of Cape Verde as Pague was the general uniform ruling party in both states was installed. Guinea-Bissau adhered in general to the pro-Soviet orientation in foreign policy, provided airfields for transit of the Cuban troops to Angola, though refused the offer of the Soviet part on creation in an estuary of the river Zeba of naval base. At the same time Guinea-Bissau sent the military contingent to Angola for support of the government in war with the Republic of South Africa and the armed opposition. His diplomatic relations with Russia are established with the USSR. In 1977 Pague entered monopoly for purchases and export of palm oil, established uniform purchase prices of rice and peanut. As a result the economic and financial position of Guinea-Bissau sharply worsened. On November 14, 1980 there was a bloodless coup. The chairman of the Board of the State Commissioners Government of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau Juan Bernard Vieira displaced the chairman of the State Council Parliament of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau Luis Cabral, who was arrested. Also other functionaries of Pague from among mulattoes, natives with Cape Verde who were forced to leave Guinea-Bissau were stripped of power. After 1986 liberalization of economy began, in 1989 a new constitution which allowed creation of alternative political parties is adopted. On elections of 1990 of Pague won a victory with overwhelming number of votes, however the 1998 years are celebrated by escalating instability. In June 1998 an attempt of a military coup was made, collisions between rebels and government troops began. The government managed to keep in power in many respects thanks to presence in Guinea-Bissau of troops from neighboring countries, Guinea and Senegal. In May 1999 Vieira went to resignation from the presidency of the country. In February 2000 the provisional government delegated the power to the oppositional leader Kumbayala. In September 2003 Vieira was displaced as a result of a bloodless military coup. The businessman Enrique Rose became the interim president. In 2005 Juan Bernard Vieira became the president again.
After on March 1, 2009 in the building of the headquarters of Army there was an explosion as a result of which the Chief of the General Staff General Tutankhamun was mortally wounded. His supporters in Army said that the President Vieira was one of the main figures responsible for death to Tutankhamun.
Street riots began. Military accused the president of death of the general.
In the morning on March 2, soldiers, faithful to the died chief of staff, attacked the presidential palace. João Bernardo Vieira was killed by them when tried to leave the building of the residence.
After these events, elections of the new president were won by Malam Bakay Sanya, representing largest in Parliament of Hague.
On December 26, 2011 the attempt of a new revolution took place. Military attacked General Staff Building and some other objects for the purpose of capture of weapon. Arrests among the highest officers who are suspected to participation are executed. The head of Naval Forces Admiral José Amerigo Bubo Nachucho, who was considered by the Main Thing, the think tank of last performances, is arrested. In January 2012 in the Parisian hospital hard being ill President Sonia, which for many represented the stabilizing force, died. With the death of the current president, chronic internal political crisis and race for power escalated with a new force, has led to new crisis.
In the first round of presidential elections on March 18, the head of ruling party Carlos Gomes Jr., holding the prime minister's post at the time of vote, received 49% of votes and surely went to a victory.
The second place was taken by the oppositionist, the party leader of social updating Mohamed Yalla Mbolia, who held already the president's post since 2000, was displaced by military in 2003, and in the 2008 accepted Islam and a new name. I reported Yalla Massachusetts falsifications and I refused participation in the second round of elections. However, the second round planned for April 29 didn't take place.
On April 13, 2012 in Guinea-Bissau there was a military coup. Military led by Mamadou Turkaruma arrested the interim president of the country Raymond Pereira and the former prime minister, the presidential candidate Carlos Gomes Jr., who were released subsequently and transported to Côte d'Ivoire.
The junta declared formation of transitional council.
A part of politicians in Guinea-Bissau and the international organizations, including the Union. On May 18, the Union Security Council adopted the resolution on the ban on a departure from the country to all decks of the Council of War.
The Commonwealth of the Portuguese-speaking countries, the European Union, the African Union, ECOWAS, condemned actions of junta and urged to restore in the country a constitutional order.
The agreement under which since May 11 the Speaker of the National Assembly Manuel Serif Namazho, who took the third place on elections, became the interim president, was signed. It was expected that new elections will be held in 2014, and to them the provisional government will manage the country.
On October 22, 2012 it was announced a new coup attempt. 7 people died. The government declared that behind attack there are Portugal and the Commonwealth of the Portuguese-speaking countries. On May 18, 2014 the candidate of the largest party, African Independence Party of Guinea and Cape Verde, Hague, José Maria Vaz, became the winner of presidential elections in the second tour.
In a week after bringing of the oath as the president, Vaz appointed the leader of the Simoes Dominicaship party, which won parliamentary elections, Pereira the new head of the government. However, in the country, crisis continued to be aggravated, and because of strengthening of disagreements with the Prime Minister concerning crossing of their duties after transition to civilian rule on August 20, 2015, the government Pereira was dismissed. Became the new Prime Minister Bassirou Diad. However, his candidate caused disapproval among some dicks of ruling party of PAID, which called for protests in the capital.
In this regard, the new Prime Minister, Carlos Corella, who 3 times already held before this post, was appointed on September 17. Republic. The head of state, the president, elected by the population to unlimited number of 5-year terms. Legislature, unicameral state National Assembly, 100 deputies elected by the population for a 4-year term. The last elections took place on April 13, 2014. Main political parties. PAID is the left, 55 deputies. Party of Social Updating, the left centrist, 41 deputy. New Democratic Party -1 deputy. Party of Democratic Convergence -2 deputies. The Union for Change is -1 deputy. The Democratic Social Front, left centrist, in Parliament it isn't presented. The difficult coastline of Guinea-Bissau is strongly dismembered by estuaria of the rivers.
The Bajagos Islands, located at the Atlantic coast of the country, were created when flooding the ancient delta of the river Ziba.
On the southeast of the country, spurs of Plateau Futajalan, up to 262 m high come. From the east, the flat alluvial and sea lowland. Places boggy, which is gradually falling, stretches for the west as it is located in the field of the latest immersions on the continental outskirts of Africa. From minerals, fields of bow, phosphorites, gold, and on the shelf oil and gas are known. Climate subequatorial monsoonal with damp summer and in the dry winter. Average air temperature +26°C during the whole year.
The annual amount of precipitation decreases from 3,000 by the coast up to 1,200 in the east, where droughts and dust storms are frequent.
The dense river network is presented by the rivers abounding in water.
Ziba, Cashew, Horrible, Balen.
Navigable on a considerable extent. Along the coast, the mangrove woods on marsh mangrove soils, which are replaced by listopadno evergreen forests, grow. And behind them, in internal regions of the country, on valleys of the rivers, the gallery woods on alluvial soils, and on the place felled trees, Visicotravni savannas on red ferrolitny soils meet. The radical woods occupy 37% of the territory of Guinea-Bissau, being annually reduced by 1%. From animals it is more best than others, birds remained, and mammals are mostly exterminated by the person. Monkeys, hippopotamuses, otters, manatees meet.
Guinea-Bissau, the unitary republic consisting of 8 continental districts and 1 island, located on the archipelago of Bissagosh. The capital of the country is allocated to the independent district of Bissau, which is the smallest in area but the biggest on the population.
The island district of Bolama is populated least all. Population -1, 57 million. Assessment for July 2010. Annual gain -2%. 2010. Fertility -4.6 births on the woman. 2010. Infantile mortality -98 for 1,000. The 2010, 9th place in the world. Average life expectancy -48 years. The 2010, 216 place in the world. Contamination, a virus of an immunodeficiency. HIV. -1. 8%. Assessment of 2007. Urban population -30%. 2008. Ethnic structure. Maland of 30%, Foba of 20%, 14%, Mandinka of 13%, 7%, other African tribes. White and mulattoes, less than 1%. Languages. Official Portuguese is widespread Creole. On the basis of Portuguese. And also native languages. Religions. Muslims of 50%, native beliefs of 40%, Christians of 10%. About 99% of the population were illiterate. At elementary schools of all types in 1965, 12.2 thousand children. The literacy of the population is more senior than 15 years -42%. 2003. 59.9%. 2020. The universities in Guinea-Bissau. The Amilcar Cabral University, the only state university. The Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports manages issues of formation of all levels of Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is included into the 5 of the poorest countries of the world. DDD per capita in 2017, $790. The 166th place in the world. There are fields of phosphates, oil, but they aren't exported. The economy is based on agriculture and fishery. 82% working, 62% of GDP. In recent years, cultivation of nuts of cashew. On their collecting, Guinea-Bissau came to the 5th place in the world. Increases. The main food crop, rice. Also corn, bean and tapioca is grown up. The industry, processing of foodstuff and brewing. As of 2016. Export goods, cashew nuts, fish and shrimps, peanut, fruit. The total amount of export is about $274 million. Main buyers. India 78%. $213 million. Belarus 12%. $31.7 million. Ghana 3.5%. $9.6 million. Import food, industrial goods, oil products. Total amount of import about $351 million. Main suppliers. Portugal 25%. $86.7 million. Gambia 17%. $59.1 million. Senegal 15%. $53.1 million. India 6.3%. $22 million. And China 6%. $21.2 million. But the main branch and the main article of national economy is the drug traffic. Annual income from a drug traffic in all Guinea-Bissau is roughly estimated at the sum about $2 billion. That is twice more than DDD of the country. In 2004-2005 the Colombian drug cartels used the country, generally island part, especially the archipelago of Bisagos, as absolutely safe transit point for delivery of cocaine from South America to Europe. Other ways it is more difficult. Drug comes by the ships, high-speed boats, planes, with landing and without dumping of containers, bags over the land and the sea. Further, local mercenaries pack up cocaine in small lots and send to Europe on jeeps and trucks through the Sahara, on the former route Paris-Dakar, and then from Morocco transport to Spain together with illegal immigrants, through the soldered packages in stomachs and high-speed boats. The drug mafia from Colombia completely bought local army, the air force and the fleet, which don't give local police, to journalists, activists to combat smuggling. Security officers of the country even build new airfields for reception of narco-lanes. To influence attempts of other countries. The USA and the EU. Situation don't bring success. So, in 2010 the USA brought charges of participation in a drug traffic to military leaders of Guinea-Bissau, including commanders-in-chief of the Air Force and Naval Forces. All their accounts in the USA were frozen. On April 13, 2012 in Guinea-Bissau there was the next military coup, the president was killed, the junta which the EU considers illegitimate came to the power. In May 2012 the Union declared leaders of junta personas non grata. But narcotransportations only increased. In March 2015, the donor countries from the EU transferred to Guinea-Bissau €1 billion within the 10-year plan designed to attract tourists and investors. The state radio company and the state radio station RAREB. Radio Nacional de Guinea-Bissau, National Radio of Guinea-Bissau. The state TV company and the public TV channel TAG. Televisão de Guinea-Bissau, Television of Guinea-Bissau. Military expenses of $8.6 million. Regular verses of 9.25 thousand people, including paramilitary forces. Gendarmerie, 2,000 people. Completing. At the call of. Partially. Mob. Resources of 313.6 thousand people, including 178.4 thousand EVs, suitable for military service, 6.8 thousand people, 6 battalions. Tank, 5 infantry. Artillery division, prospecting and engineering companies. Arms. 10 T-34, 15 T-76 tanks. 10 Breen-2, 55 armored personnel carriers, 26 pause tools, 8 120 mortars, 34 ZA, Era-2, several 75 and 89 BZO. Air Force. 100 people, 36. With. Isn't present century. Plane and helicopter park. 3 MiG-17F, SA-318.2, SA-319. Naval Forces. 350 people, 2 boundary boats. Also far.
Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.